call this meeting to order. And our first order of business, we have to add to our agenda a highway report, which isn't on our agenda, but we'll put that in between recognition of visitors and public comments and correspondence for information. And with that, we'll go on to approving the minutes from November 24th and our budget session on December 2nd.
I would move approval of the minutes of the meeting of November 24th and the budget meeting of December 2nd.
Okay, any discussion?
I wonder if we should do those separately. I wasn't there on the 24th, so I won't be
Okay.
able to vote on it.
All right,
And then I'll move approval of the minutes of November 24th.
okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye?
There were only 3 of you there.
Okay, we're all set though. Moving on to,
Then I guess I'd also move approval of the minutes of budget meeting of December 2nd.
I'll second that.
all right, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. We have warrants for payment. We have 12P, Conservation Commission, and the Recreation Board.
You doing this one, Steve?
Yeah, I'll move we approve for payment warrant 12, 12P,
Have those, could you pass them over to me, please?
Conservation Commission number 6, and Rec Board number 5.
I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion? All right. We have, under warrant 12, we have the usual, we have rubbish removal, we have cleaning the office, some copy expenses, copier lease, some diesel fuel, street lights, and some highway department repairs for a grand total of $11,687.28. So any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. We have some representatives from Southeastern Vermont Economic Development Strategies and Brattleboro Development Credit Corporation. And do you want to come up to the table?
Sure. Thank you, everyone. My name is Laura Sibilia. I've been here to meet with some of you in the past. I'm the Director of Economic Development for BDCC. This is Alex Beck. He is our Workforce and Education Specialist, and R.T. Brown, who is the coordinator, project manager for the Windham County Economic Development Program. That's our front-facing group on the VY funding. So we wanted to talk to you tonight, update you on the SeVEDS initiatives, and also RT is here to update you on how to access VY funds. So we're gonna have RT start.
Yeah, I just wanted, what you have in front of you is just a high-level overview of the program, my contact information. I'm doing a lot of outreach to different communities to, obviously to contact local businesses. So if you have any local businesses that might be interested in the Windham County Economic Development Program, I'd love to have a chat with them. And so that's the Vermont Yankee Funds, as you all probably know. The purpose of the program is clearly for job creation. So if the business is about to expand or is thinking about expanding, we can help them work through any capital considerations that they have for that. I like to think of the funds as there's 2 programs essentially. There's a loan program and then a grant program. The loan program essentially rides on top of any loan program that is offered by the Vermont Economic Development Authority. And within that, they have a number of programs like the entrepreneurial loan program, or loans for real estate, capital, or working capital. The difference is, because a project would qualify for the Windham County Economic Development Program, it's at a really discounted rate of 2%. And then for the grant, the competitive grant, those are, the RFP clearly states that it's for nonprofit organizations whose focus it is to have activities around economic development. The best example I can think of is like an accelerator or an incubator, which are part of what the SeVEDS group is working on as well. But for people to understand what a nonprofit would be, that would easily qualify, that's the best example that I can come up
And
with.
what was that example?
Like an incubator, like a business incubator or a
Okay,
business
all right, somebody
accelerator.
who has a nonprofit that is helping other businesses to start.
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly. It's similar to me, if you're familiar with the Working Lands Grants Initiative, they have two lines. They have one for businesses and one for service providers. So that is, it's more like the service provider.
Okay,
It's serving other businesses, and it, in the end result should be, in essence, economic development or job creation. Just to give you some examples of the folks I'm working with on this program, early stages, but there's a machine company in Brattleboro. They're looking for a new piece of equipment. That's an example, and that will help add jobs to their, it's a manufacturing company. I'm working with a small food producer who's trying to put together a package so that they can take their business to the next level and produce some organic, gluten-free bars. I'm working with a nonprofit on something that's really interesting in the food sector as well. So it's really across the board. I'm eager to talk to anyone that is in the position to explore these funds. So please keep it in mind and keep me in mind. That's it.
can there be nonprofits that are businesses that start out of people's homes? Like, you know, sort of the home business?
As long as they meet the qualifications that are outlined in the RFP. So if their nonprofit is, again, to serve the purpose of job creation, and really the goals that are outlined in the SeVEDS goals, they're pretty clear. Then I don't see why not. I mean, there needs to be a track record. They look at capacity. They will look at financial statements and the different sources of funds that would be used for the project.
Okay.
But I would never say no.
Yeah, okay, that helps.
And I have to say, the folks that, so this is administered through the Agency of Commerce and Community Development, and they've been wonderful. They've been flexible. They will listen to any scenario that I've brought to them and provide quality feedback. So it's because they're all state funds. There's a lot of flexibility.
Okay. So we are here, and we will pass this out to you. I don't know if this came in advance. It's just right here. These are our work plans. SeVEDS work plan for the year that we're in. Oops, excuse me. As well as
we're good.
you will see this document. And so we want to do 4 things. We have 3 major projects that are underway, and we want to update you briefly on all of those. And then also we are going out to all of our towns and asking for select boards to include us as a separately warned article, not include us in your budget, for a $3 per person contribution. So that's part of the letter that you should have received, and we're happy to discuss that with you. Primarily, we want to talk to you about the projects that are going on. So, as I said, we have 3 major programs going on. We've got the green building cluster analysis and the Southern Vermont Business Accelerator projects. Those have recently been completely funded with both Windham County Economic Development Program funds and U.S. Department of Commerce funds. And those funds came in to the U.S. Department of Commerce because we had done our SeVEDS. Are you folks familiar with the SeVEDS process that we did?
Give us a quick definition.
SeVEDS is the Comprehensive economic development strategy that was done regionally in the 2012-2013 time period. And that's a federally prescribed process for creating a regional action plan, looking at the assets in the area, the opportunities in the area, the challenges in the area, and with regional participation, outlining goals and where we want to go. So we have this 5-year sense that will be redone every 5 years. What you have in front of you here, this booklet, is an annual work plan that is drawn from the SeVEDS. The SeVEDS has outlined a bunch of strategies and action items that we need in order to, that have been outlined in order to grow the economy. It is a comprehensive document, but we see it as a document that will continue to grow and evolve. So, in that sense, one of the priority sectors for looking at growing jobs, particularly in light of the jobs that would be lost from the closure of Vermont Yankee, we're looking at the green building sector and looking at developing a green building cluster analysis, which is almost another little SeVEDS for this sector. This is looking at businesses, consultants, folks that knowledge creators in this field, in the green building field.
Manufacturers as well.
Manufacturers. This was identified as an asset as part of our SeVEDS in our region. We actually have a number of national and international really thought leaders in this sector. So we are in the process. I've just come from the first meeting with a leadership team there. We saw Geraldine. Geraldine was there. Building Green is actually, if you folks are familiar with it, very key partner in all of this. We've got Green River. I don't know if folks are familiar with Michael Knapp. Working with, this is a tri-state region program. Per the feds have asked us to make sure, because we're looking at job losses from Vermont Yankee in 3 states, the Cheshire, Franklin, and Wyndham regions. So we also have folks on this leadership team from Keene State College. Where else? We gotta think about who is at the table there. But a number of folks will be doing a big meeting with practitioners, all folks that are really associated with this sector in January. We're pretty excited about it. The outcome of this will be the case made for probably 8 to 12 different business cases made at the end of all of this. Here are types of businesses, propositions that could be created in the Wyndham region or in southeastern Vermont to help create new jobs and bring wealth into the region. We're looking at things like developing green financing for residential buildings, insurance, creating a literal center of knowledge, perhaps a place where there's a convention space for bringing in other folks. We could talk about this for a long time, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have on this piece. This is one project that we're working on, yes.
No, when you said long time, that gets me too. So I'm happy you're not going to talk a long time.
Yes, okay, I usually start with how much time do I have? Taper it from there. Associated with that, we are in the process of developing a Southern Vermont Business Accelerator, or something like it. Right now, what we are doing is a feasibility study. So an accelerator is really looking at how do we stimulate and support entrepreneurial activity in this region. So either with startups or small businesses, or perhaps even existing businesses, that want to bring a new idea to market. What are the obstacles and barriers that they are faced with in terms of bringing these? So we're doing a feasibility study with that. It will be closely linked with these business cases that we see coming out of the green building sector as well. This is total a 2-year project. We're about 4 months in maybe on this project. So those are 2 big projects that we have ongoing. I can answer any questions you like. The third project that we have ongoing is this. This, I want to qualify it. This is our current thinking about what we are doing and focusing on in terms of workforce in the Wyndham region. This is primarily based on an original goal in the SeVEDS, which was to improve the size and quality of our workforce. And it has been expanded by research that we've done. Year and a half ago, we did a 5-year hiring inventory with a number of 35 of our largest employers. We actually invited 60 and 35 participated. That process, which was developed by one of our employers in Bellows Falls, was very detailed and looked at how folks that are going to be retiring in the next 5 years, what positions will we need to replace? If we have normal turnover in positions, what will that be looking like in 5 years? How many people will we need to replace? If we want to grow, what are the types of positions that we are going to need to add? And in doing that, we found just from these 35 employers, in 5 years, we were going to need to fill either new or existing 3,000 jobs. We knew that in looking at our largest employers, we were missing a number of our employers. And so we also did a sort of confidence survey with a number of our smaller hospitality businesses in particular, businesses associated with the recreation areas, and found that they were feeling pretty optimistic about their need to maintain or add some staff in the coming 5 years. So what that really said to us is, we need to start finding some people. That's a lot of people. And we, as our population has been slowly declining and slowly getting older. And so this is a real urgency in terms of our existing employers being able to maintain, and our neighbors, to be able to keep their jobs. If an employer doesn't have access to workforce, it's challenging for them to stay. It's also challenging to locate another business here. That is something that folks are very interested in when they're looking to locate, is there an available workforce? We know that there are a number of training programs that are happening in the Wyndham region right now, or remediation programs for folks that are challenged, that are trying to overcome barriers to enter into the workforce. What there really is not a lot of, if anything, is something to look at retaining or cultivating workforce, so our kids, and then also recruiting. I actually live out in the valley, in the Mount Snow Valley, live in Dover, and my kids have gone to Twin Valley. When we think about these 3,000 jobs, and I can see what types of jobs they are, what the pay raises, pay scales are for these, the kids, our kids don't know. I've been to meetings up in Jamaica. What jobs are you talking about? There is definitely a disconnect of the jobs that are available and folks that know about them. So this is where our friend Alex comes in. We are right now preliminarily focused on 2 strategies, as I said, retaining and cultivating or recruiting. And we have 3 programs that Alex is working on. And so how much time do we have left?
What's the sense of the group?
Oh, another 5 minutes or something.
Okay.
Oh,
Sure.
There you go. So we'll end with that, and then also we'd like to follow up with how would we go about answering the question, the tabulating question.
Great.
So go ahead.
Okay.
So the 3 programs, I love to say that they live really at that bottom line where the blue line of the continuity, to make sure there's a real continuum of workforce development opportunities. And so our 3 programs, chronologically, in terms of the development of an individual's career, they start really in the high school. We have, I convene all the guidance counselors in Windham County once a month. So I talk with all of them. High school guidance counselors. And I say, what programs exist? How do you feel about them? How are they going? Where do you need more support? What kind of programs don't exist that you really need? And what we've really identified is that career awareness. You can be anything you want to be when you grow up, sure. You can't be anything you want to be when you grow up and live and work in Windham County. And to really connect these young people to the employers, so that they can say, I want to do this when I grow up. Or I don't, and that's the other really important thing. And so a program we're starting in the fall is going to be, I coined it the Fast Track to Success program. And what it really is the first phase is taking these sophomores and juniors in high school to the employers themselves and having them walk on shop floors, experience the businesses as they actually exist, so they can say, yeah, I can really see myself doing that. Or this is nothing like I thought it would be, for better or for worse. And then once they kind of know, this is where I want to go, Act 77 with the personal learning plans. The idea that in the second half of this program is to kind of extend that concept into their second or third year of employment. In the sense that once they know where they want to end up, to sort of help them reverse engineer that their learning pathway. So what we do have is we do have people really intentionally setting up their educational and academic careers to end up where they know they want to be. That means if they don't need 4 years of school, that's okay. Because if they take, rather than getting buried in debt for a degree that might not be as relevant, they might be able to take a single class at Vermont Technical College, get their CNC operator's license, and be making $40,000 a year, $50,000 a year with good benefits. So that's what we're doing in the high schools. Once a student starts any collegiate courses, whether it's in Windham County or not, they're eligible for the 6 College Collaborative Internship Program, which I run as well. The 6 colleges are Landmark, CCV, Vermont Tech, Marlborough, Union, and SIT Graduate Institute. And so all of these schools came together and they are facilitating the engagement in a shared internship program. Anyone from anywhere, so long as they're enrolled in college courses, can come here and access our program, but we only place people in Windham County. So we have, we've placed just over 50 interns, and we have a 20% hiring rate. One of the key contributing factors to that is that they're all paid internships. We have employers investing in our young people, and we have young people earning a wage and entering responsible environments where, if it's an unpaid internship and they feel like, I'd kind of rather hang out by the river today, because they're not getting paid, that seems like an easier decision for them to make. Whereas when they're getting paid, they take it seriously, they feel valued in what they do.
So does the employer.
Yeah, and so does the employer. So it's a mutually beneficial investment by insisting that they're paid internships. And it's led to a bunch of hire-ons. The one thing we never want to do is force a young person to pick between starting their career or paying the bills. And that's what we see a lot with people who are, I'd love to take this internship and start this career that I've been learning about, but I need to pay the bills, so I need to keep my waitressing job or my server job or retail job. So this allows them to navigate to more freely. And then the last program is the Southern Vermont Young Professionals. And this is really a retaining and recruiting program where anyone between the ages of 21 and 45, we define young and professional very loosely. We have people saying, I'm a firefighter, I'm not a young professional. I'd say you absolutely are. We have such a robust creative economy, we have such a robust agricultural economy, that we don't really define professionals as the people who button up a suit and tie every day. It's open to everyone, anyone. And the easiest way I can say is if you have friends and you don't have a job, you're likely to leave. And if you have a job and no friends, you're also likely to leave. So we do social and professional networking. The first, a recent event was at Mondo Media Works. We did an old school game night because Luke Stafford, who runs a company down there, there on Main Street, he's really engaged in the community. He's, I'd love to have our young professional community come in here, check out what's going on, and learn about our business, because maybe that's something they've been thinking about. Another good example is we hosted an event at Hermit Thrush, and everyone got their little tasting, but rather than talking about beer all night, we had Chris and Avery, the owners, talk about what's it like being entrepreneurs. What's it like starting a new business? What's it like coming from Philly with only having an idea about what they want to do and what they think about Brattleboro, and then making it into a business. And so this is a flyer that I have for our upcoming events. We have one in Brattleboro and then one outside of Brattleboro, so it alternates. It's truly a regional organization. We have a steering committee that's also regionally representative, so that's really exciting as well. And we have an event coming up. I wish I hung up all the flyers, but on this Friday we're going to be at West Townsend for the community pizza night. So another thing that we really pride ourselves in doing is not necessarily reinventing the wheel, creating a completely new event. We find out what's going really well in town. What programs already exist that we can plug into. We've done that with the film festival. We're going to the community store, And we have a really big, nice event coming up in February at the Museum and Arts Center that will be open to everyone. I really believe that the events that are open to the public, to everyone, no matter what your age, are great opportunities for us to really celebrate our young people and to say, you're not here alone. Just because these people are older or younger than you doesn't mean they don't appreciate you being here or support the fact that you're here. So that's the long and the short of it.
Right, so these are the three major things that we're working on. I would say that our workforce programs, they have been made possible by our municipalities appropriating funds to this program. So we are here, we are going to all of the towns, or we're asked to go to all of the towns. We are not asking you to include this in your budget, but we are asking you to consider putting it on your warning. We're happy to come and talk to it, speak to it, even if the voters turn it down. We think the conversation is important. So that's our request.
Anyone have any questions for them?
Do you have any questions, Zeke, about the request itself?
No, it's pretty straightforward.
Okay.
I was listening, trying to hear what was the compelling reason to spend $3 per Dummerston person. Usually when people come asking us for money, they say, well, we served, 45 Dummerston residents who needed, our services last year. There were 16 families that came for this service that we provide. Or they make a compelling, pitch to us.
Town specific. What's in it for our
Yes,
town?
yes.
Every town,
Sure.
rightly so.
If you wanted us to, allocate money from Newfane's budget. I'd
the
have no
appropriate
problem, because you're asking for, Dummerston people to pony up. Usually, they want to know what they're getting. And you've, explained your program. I'd say it's a little bit more of an act of faith than a concrete, this is how many people we served.
Well, I think, some of our programs, like our young professionals programs, we certainly can put numbers to them. They are programs that are growing. We do feel that the workforce program is the one that is most relevant to all of our towns, because our workforce is shared throughout the region. And so, we're asking folks to help us develop programs that help our folks stay here.
Yeah, I guess one of the things that would interest me, tagging off of Zeke's, focus, and which is our focus on the town of Dummerston, is you did this research. So what does the research show relative to Dummerston, and where people in Dummerston work, and how many of those people who are gonna retire are in Dummerston, and how many jobs, not necessarily that are in Dummerston, but are held by Dummerston residents, are in those categories. So, a little bit more town specific around the research that's been done. That would be really helpful.
I don't know that we have that detail, but I think that would certainly be good detail to have
I
from
mean,
our employers.
I think it's available through the census, probably 2013 data, but
Yeah.
we need to.
I mean, that's
some of
our
that.
charge, that's our charge, is to
Absolutely.
think about
Every
the
town.
Dummerston residents, and we're looking at the budget for the Dummerston residents. So you could meet with other groups in Dummerston, and they might have a broader ear listening to you, but ours is pretty focused on the residents of our town. It's just our charge.
Every select board, this is the question that every select board asks, and appropriately so, and we understand that. So
Okay.
Yeah.
If everyone's asking, then I would
Yes.
think you'd have the answers.
our answer is, this is really the program that we are working on. We do not have data specific to Dummerston residents. We certainly could go back and look at how many of our internships are Dummerston residents, our young professionals, looking at our schools. Again, these are programs that are growing.
Yeah.
Some of this has been an act of faith. The
Mhm.
folks that these programs were created, saying, yes, we ought to do this. And so, but these are appropriate questions, so.
Well, I think this is a really compelling problem. I mean, I don't have to tell you that Windham County is the oldest county in the state with the second highest average age in the country. We're very fortunate personally. Both of my sons live and work in Vermont, and amongst our friends, and that's really rare. You know, there's just not a lot of opportunity, and I think we have an obligation really to the next generation. You know, for there to be good paying jobs in the area.
And a big piece of that is not just wishing for it, but knowing what it is you need to be training for. You know, talking to the kids who are in the high schools, you know, bringing those college kids from, you know, other places through internships here. So, you know, I feel like it was a really good description, and, you know, a really good elevator pitch. So I'm grateful to know more.
My gut feeling of this is a lot of small businesses can't find employees anyway. So if we're finding all these jobs that are available and people that want to grow, I know from my own experience, there's not a huge workforce that's looking for work in our area.
Right.
And a lot of my other businesses that work in my field find the same thing.
And what do you
And
mean
we've
by
talked-
our area? Would explain that.
Right, wherever anybody would come to work at my business in Dummerston. I mean, say somebody from Bellows Falls to Vernon or whatever. I mean,
But they might not know what your business is.
all excavating or property maintenance or, I mean, any small business. There's a lot of small family businesses.
Right.
There's at least another one right here in town that I'm looking at right here tonight. So that just, I mean, you can't find employees already, so.
The unemployment rate that we have now is really just about, it reflects really we're just about at full employment for folks that are able and willing to work.
Yeah.
You know, we have folks that are unemployed, and we have programs that are trying to help them overcome the barriers that they're, you know, experiencing to be employed, but that's pretty much where we're at. So we know that it's critical to both bring in folks and also, as we said, talk with our kids. What are we doing long term?
I mean, we've talked about, Geraldine, just at our meetings, or even in our own town, trying to find somebody that's qualified with a CDL driver's license to drive a truck. I mean,
Right.
it's not a, it's a fairly well-paying job.
And some of our young people have no idea what that phrase is. A CDL what?
Yeah.
You know, and so that's the first step.
But we run through, I mean, that's just that simple right here. It's hard to find qualified
So is that the
people, so.
flip side, and I don't mean to expand this conversation,
go
but
ahead.
is that the flip side of what you guys are doing? To look at what businesses we have in Dummerston and whether or not they're fully, you know, serviced with employees?
Yeah. So
You know,
the
what do we need?
curricula that I'm designing in the high schools is based off of that hiring research. So the research that was done about the jobs that are available in Windham County and with the small businesses, taking that information and using that as, you know, there are jobs here. Maybe not the jobs you thought you're looking for, but there are jobs here. And if you want to be employed here, you know, there are excavator jobs. You might need to get a CDL driver's license, but this is the pathway to these jobs, and to really help redefine with our young people in our schools what that path looks like and what good and meaningful work looks like. Because we're stuck between having a very highly educated population who expects 4-year degrees from all of our students and our young people, and that's 4 years where they are probably not getting that driver's certification, and to help everyone find the appropriate path to where they need to end up, and that it's accessible to everyone.
The final thought I would leave you with is that we know that this is a challenge actually that is happening across rural America. So we are not the only folks that are experiencing this. And so we're not just looking to, you know, we've got to be better than other people that are also trying to solve this problem. And we think that we have, for rural areas, we've started to get some traction. You know, I'm actually really quite pleased with the programs that Alice has been doing. And the support that we have had from the municipalities thus far has been pretty unprecedented. So that's it. Great. Thank you, and thank you for the time.
All right,
Yeah.
just, you know, who knows what we'll decide, but another alternative is up to
Petition.
petition.
Right.
And how many signatures do you need for to put
I
something?
believe it's between 80 and 90.
Okay, all right.
And we're aware many towns have that policy and ask us to do that. Of course, it's really challenging to, do that for a lot of towns, but,
Mhm.
you folks,
You could
we
have a
expect
party.
that you have to do what you have to do. Yes,
Yeah.
so,
Great,
thank you very much.
great
Thank you.
presentation, thank you
Good
very much.
discussion, yep.
I leave this, but it's got a few spelling mistakes, so you'll see one of us.
It
Yeah.
was recreated.
You'll see one of us around town hanging up the correct ones.
That'd be great. We've got
Glad you have such high standards.
We've
Alex.
got a bulletin board out here on the, under the porch here,
Okay,
so.
Townsend is. Thank you.
That's wage disparity.
Okay. You want to discuss this now, or do you want to hold off and wait? We don't really have making a decision about this on our agenda tonight.
Yeah, my gut feeling, I'd like to see it done via petition anyway, so that we know that the community's behind the idea, but that's just an
I mean, a
opinion.
petition is a way of educating the community, about it.
Mhm.
And so then at town meeting, you have more people that actually know about it. And not just the people that come to town meeting, but,
Yeah.
wider group.
Mhm.
But I can see why that would be challenging to them.
And it's our prerogative to have an article. Well, I think it's really important, and for them to have to get that number of signatures in all of the towns, I think would be a little bit onerous. And this is really this is all about the future of our communities. And it will be up to the voters to decide, and I'm glad to hear that they are prepared to come to annual meeting and speak to this. But I would actually, I guess I would move that we
We can't decide, because
Okay.
it's not.
it's not been warned.
Right,
Okay.
but we're trying to get just a
Well, my,
A
ballpark
read,
sense.
yeah.
now my sense is that we should have an article.
Mhm. Okay.
So if we did present an article as the board, would the board have to speak for it, or would the board just turn it over to?
I would think the board would turn it over to them to explain
Mm.
what the program was and what the money would be going to. That's what I would think.
Mhm.
I think they would be able to speak to it probably better than us.
Sure.
So I have two thoughts. One is, we really want to think of ourselves as a town within a region. We can't exist just as Dummerston. We are really connected in a lot of ways. So I agree with Joe that it's a really, they're doing really good stuff. It's a critical program, that economic development. I wonder from the point of view of an article or a petition, I don't have any sense of what kinds of things come up as articles, and if this fits with things that have come up in the past, and what it will bring to us in the future by putting this on.
Usually, for example, there was an article last year to increase the amount the town spends on what's generally called the social services group. So usually articles are dealing with, spending money. So that's,
Usually when it's a first-time request,
yeah,
also, the select board has required that organization to take out a petition
okay, historically.
historically. Yep.
And then if it passes, if they get the petition and it passes, then it is more likely to be an article?
More likely to become part of the.
It would be an article if they took out the petition and got the required amount of signatures, then it would be on the warning for town meeting.
Or we can decide to do it without a petition.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I
Right,
see.
Right.
so we can,
Okay,
warn this for discussion and or action for another meeting soon, so.
But to your point, Geraldine, I mean, the reality is most folks that live in Dummerston don't work in Dummerston.
It's very true, so our economic development piece is especially integrated, and our kids go to Brattleboro High School,
Right.
so.
It was interesting information.
Yeah, I just fear that our budget is gonna be tremendously increased this year, and this would be another $5,400 or something we'll be looking to collect, so. But if the community
But
wants to,
if-
that's fine.
Yeah, it would be up to the voters to, if it gets to, town meeting,
Mhm.
so,
Okay,
okay.
good.
Can I ask one more question? Could it be, this is really stupid maybe, but could it be, as an article, but voted on by Australian ballot, is that what I wanna say? So that everybody could vote all day long, cause we tend to get the same group at town meeting.
Yeah,
Would there be a way for us to allow everybody in town to vote on it?
I think you can. I'm not sure how that has to be worded. I would imagine it would have to be part of the petition
Oh,
to
okay.
say to be voted by Australian ballot, but I'll check with VLCT
Okay,
tomorrow.
yeah.
That's a good question.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. Ready to move on?
mhm.
We have, you probably have read in the packet, we received a letter. Vermont Yankee would like to, they either have the towns take over the sirens. Vermont Yankee or Entergy doesn't want the sirens anymore. They will take them down and, take them away, or after, I'm not sure what the date is, but they will give them to the town. It'll be up the town's responsibility to maintain them and run them. And they want a decision from Dummerston, I think, in about a week's time or so. So we have to decide.
Because of the cost of maintaining these things, and the confusion they might create in the community by going off because they've been known as the Y Sirens, I'm gonna move that we ask that they remove them from Dummerston. One bid was $520 per siren per year, and the other is $275 per siren per year. And I'm not sure what they'd be used for, so I'm gonna move that we ask them to remove them.
I'll second that so that we,
Can have discussion?
yes, exactly.
Okay, so I'll open it for discussion.
So what else would they be used for?
We could have them blown at noontime, so everyone in town would know it was noontime.
They'd be used in maybe if,
We could, what time do you guys like to wake up over there?
Since it's right in our backyard here,
Yeah,
basically. You know.
I suppose if Townsend Dam was gonna let go, but we've signed up for that,
Vermont Alert.
Vermont Alert, which would be probably equally if not more effective, and people would know what the message was. And I think Lee's here. Does the siren even work on the fire station, Lee, now? Over here?
Yeah, I think they got it going again.
Or? They did.
Yes.
Okay. I just don't see a practical use for it. I think it's much more practical to have.
What's the maintenance cost they're saying on that? Cause that guy comes down once a month.
Basically what they're saying, their estimate, Burlington Communications is $520 a year for each siren. That
We
includes,
have 2 sirens.
Right, we have 2 sirens, one over here and one over
yeah, and
there.
that includes the batteries and the labor to annually test it. And the second one is from Southwestern New Hampshire Mutual Aid, same thing, new batteries every 4 years. Their total is $275 for each siren
Per year.
per year. This is an estimate, as I understand it.
Okay. And so did Dawn, our
Yes.
emergency management director,
She,
she weighed in on this, right?
both, you asked me to check with the fire department, Rick Lumen, and Dawn Hubbard, our emergency management director. Rick Lumen said he thought we could spend the money on something more productive.
Mhm.
He felt if it were, his quote was, if this was 1940, I'd say we keep the sirens. But his sense was, all the fire department have radios that they carry. We just signed up for Vermont Alert. There's the, reverse 911.
Yeah.
The technology is so much different.
Yeah.
And the sense that, we're going to have an emergency that, we have to evacuate the town, it's not likely anymore, so.
Yeah.
See, ours is, I think that's why Bev and we came for this, because, yeah, well,
look at the rest of the.
I know, I'm sorry, the backwards stuff, and we go, but ours is kind of precarious there. I mean, for maintenance, if you think about it, it's very tall. It's right next to the power lines. It can hit the fire department, or it could hit Bev's house. So you know what I mean. So if you can get rid of these for, if they'll pay for this,
Right.
because it is very a high structure. I'm assuming it's going to take like a crane-ish type thing to get it out of there. It might benefit, than to let it rot and have it go woof.
Yeah. The maintenance is one thing. If something goes wrong, then it's, something else to do the repairs.
Right.
I checked with Dawn Hubbard. Her sense was pretty much the same as Rick Lumen's, that, we've got Vermont Alert, let's try to get people signed up on that. And she echoed your thoughts that the sirens go off, people are thinking Vermont Yankees, so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right, they already
A
have an
conditioned
association.
response. So those two people weighed in on getting them out. There was one other cost. I contacted Southeastern for mutual aid. I've got so many acronyms tonight. And they were, because someone has to, send the signal to activate them, and apparently they're the ones that do that. And they said there's some fee associated with that. He didn't know offhand. He was supposed to get back to me. He got back to me, but he didn't give me any number to bring. So there might be other costs to it also. So.
Here's an idea. How about if we take them and could we sell them on eBay? Is that a possibility? I'm sure there's
tornado warning.
I don't think they're gonna take them down and then give them to us.
I'm sure there is no market for them.
All right, well,
Any other discussion?
Well, the only other thought I had was, if there are other emergencies, like a chemical explosion in a train wreck, or something along I-91, where the electronic media would only reach a certain number of people, whereas the sirens really would alert people who didn't have that kind of hookup. They might still have a conceivable safety purpose, but if Dawn and Rick do not feel that they need to rely on those to notify the residents, then perhaps that's not an actual risk that we need to be concerned with.
How many residents would they actually reach? Has that ever been tested?
I know at one point they wanted to put, was it 5 sirens in town? Because they wanted to put one next to your house.
I guess Brattleboro didn't want all of them, and so they had,
Yeah.
4 or 5 extra ones, and they were just trying to find a home for them.
They're gonna put one on Middle Road, they're gonna put another one over on Bunker Road, over by Bunker Farm.
Right.
Because those are areas that they didn't feel were being covered with the existing sirens.
I would say, I recall that, it wasn't a very
Popular idea.
No, it wasn't a very scientifically
Yeah, right, yeah.
run study. They just sort of drove around one day and said, there's a field there. Let's put one there.
Yeah, and it wasn't a
How
real
many-
popular idea.
How many we have left? Well, let's keep.
Well, living so close to it when it goes off is I should say it's the whole house, it's a vibrating experience.
I was
It is-
equating it to
It's
somebody being in my sugar house one day, admiring Vermont and enjoying maple sugaring, and then the siren go off.
oh
I
yeah.
couldn't imagine that would be a scenic Vermont picture.
No, it really isn't.
The thought that, something, the train going
Yeah.
off and alerting people, the thought was that's more a local, you wouldn't need to notify the whole town and get the people on Sunset Lake Road, running out of their house in their PJs. And so this Vermont alert to 911 reverse calling might be better at notifying the people that actually need to be.
And probably most people, if they hear that would go off, would probably look at their phone to try
I
to
know,
figure out what's
yeah.
wrong.
Yeah.
So,
I was just curious, Steve, how are firefighters notified? Is it
Sure, they all carry their own little
pagers? Yeah.
yeah.
and actually they all get texts now too, don't they, Lee, on their phones?
Yeah.
It's a new world. So, you want to discuss this more?
No, I'd like to move on.
Let's move on, okay. There's a motion to have Entergy take them down. It's been seconded, and all those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Then we are unanimous. Maybe we should just have them go off one last time.
Oh, thanks. No, come on over. Yes.
Can I have those minutes?
Oh, sure.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks.
Old time safe?
Now I feel bad that you're all leaving because
Yeah.
I know.
But now we can talk about
Yeah.
it.
Now we can talk about it.
We can let you, if you let us know when they are gonna go off, we'll have a party.
Thank you.
thank you for coming.
Thanks.
Okay. We get to the section for recognition of visitors and public comment. We don't have any public left.
So we don't have to all sign it?
No.
Oh, okay.
Um, So we've come to, everyone's favorite section of our program, the highway report. And here's our favorite road foreman, Lee Chamberlain. We should have a little, maybe just a 1 or 2 piece band to play a little
Yeah.
When he comes up to the table.
when people come up to the table.
Thanks. All right, so I did call up and talked with the people who are building their new truck. That was supposed to be done 6 weeks ago. Next week, we're going up to locate the controls in the cab, and hopefully by January 1st, it might be done.
Well, it's not supposed to snow between now and then.
Exactly.
Huh?
It's been a good winter for having it like this. The other thing was the covered bridge. I don't know if we had discussed that, but it got hit by a box. So we got the estimate up to the insurance company. Once they notify us, I was gonna have Renard's fixed it in the past. All it is pretty much some trim boards, but they're gonna have to close the bridge for a couple hours to do the work. And when they do that, hopefully we're gonna fix the other end ourselves. And
We
we'll
could
get it.
have, if it's soon enough, we could blow the sirens.
There you go.
That the bridge is going to
What
be
needs to be
closed.
fixed at the other end?
Trim boards also. They
On
got-
both ends?
Yeah.
Oh,
Can you put some more signs while,
Yeah, we could do that too. Yeah, it seems like it's been getting hit every couple of weeks now. It seems like, with one thing or the other.
the bridge?
Yeah.
Really?
Those trim boards, they take a beating. So I'm glad we didn't get it fixed right off.
Well, wait,
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah, it
put it
is.
off till spring.
Right, I know. I don't think there's any real hurry, but,
Maybe they
Yes.
could be connected to the siren. And then when somebody
Yeah,
hits them,
yeah.
the
Thought about a
siren goes
camera.
off.
yeah. Yeah, people just don't wanna read signs or they don't know what their vehicle height is. Lately we've been cutting brush up on Sunset Lake Road and the side roads up there. That's what we've been doing with our time. Another project is that structure just north of Mark Richards' house that's on the list. And that's the one that we were gonna apply for the grant in, I believe it was like March. We can apply, or February, we can apply. And the idea this year was to put it out to bid before then, so then we'd have a price that we could actually give to the state. So we did send out the easements to Mark Richards and losing track of her name.
Susan Reed Smith.
Yeah, Susan Reed Smith. This is for the structure to be partway out of the right of way and work easements on both ends. So they were sent today, so I'm hoping if they have any questions I can meet with them, and we have to get that signed off on before we can actually do any work out of the
And
right of way.
remind me what the structure is again?
It's an arch culvert, just like Quarter Road.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Just a little smaller.
Okay.
So, to go over the timeline on that project, so hopefully we'll get those back, the easements from Mark, the end of the month. Hoping to actually put it out to bid by the 1st of January. Have a pre-bid meeting, give them until February 30th. These dates can change a little bit when we get closer, but to get the bids back in and then apply for the grant. If we get the grant, then that company would get the job. If we don't get the grant, they would have first opportunity for the following year, so we didn't have to put it back out to bid at the same price. It is the first time we've ever done it this way.
But it's a leap year next year, so we actually have 29. So February 29th, there is no February 29th.
Oh, is that right? How about that?
Usually it's
I
28,
knew exactly what you were.
Alright, yeah.
February 20, so February 29th.
Alright. Yeah. Maybe it's the band.
And how long would you think that road would be closed?
I
For a
put in the contract or whatever, 6 weeks like the other
Oh,
one,
that
for
one, okay.
a maximum of 6
Okay,
weeks. And that's just because when things go wrong, it just gives a little extra time. It should be around 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And where's Mark Richards' place again?
Right on Park Lawton Road,
On Park
right,
Lawton,
right
okay.
before Spalding Hill.
Right, okay, got it.
And this is all they have to approve us doing it. So, it could change.
I would suspect too, Lee, in this, that we're gonna have to do something in the ditches coming down to that because of the new Act 64. We're probably gonna have to, once you do that culvert, I bet the state's gonna require that we rip wrap the ditches on the two sides of the roads and treat the water, storm water coming down the road, I bet too. So it may turn into more than we anticipate.
Right.
If it's next year, because we may just beat it, I guess, but.
I am meeting with Todd Manise and Mark Pickering on the Stickney Brook Road project for the following year. So I'll ask them about that, if they need to go over there and meet again over there. Yeah. I'm not sure about that stuff. But other than that, that's all I had.
Okay, you were meeting with someone to go over maintenance or maybe sort of
On the
reevaluating
pavement.
the hard pavement.
Yes, he did bring back the report. He did suggest, to try to do some crack sealing. Probably seen the state's done it, a lot of towns do it. We just have never done any. I guess the product they use now is a lot better, the snowplows don't take it up.
No, I know.
I know, I know.
Was it up on 91 or 89? I can't remember, where there was rubber strips laying all over the place.
Yes.
I think it went on when it was too cold, but
Is this something your crew would do, or
No,
would it be
so-
contracted out?
Yeah, it'd be hard out.
Okay.
Yeah. It almost a lot of paving companies do it.
Mhm.
We'd still be doing some blacktop, but, I guess their idea is you just, if you can maintain them a little bit better, with a cheaper material, then you might be able to extend the life of the pavement. Right now ours is lasting, 10 to 12 years before we have to redo it. I do know a lot of people are starting to use it, and I would like to say
did they give you an estimated price? Like, how would we anticipate, if we were gonna budget some money to do it, how would we anticipate a cost?
right.
I have no idea how
this- This would be built in. So this following year, my thought was to do an inch overlay on Johnson's Curve and Houghton Brook, which would leave us probably like 40% of our budget to do crack sealing on east-west coming up from the KOA. He said that was a good candidate because it's not too far gone, it's in good shape. If you take care of the cracks now, it will extend the life. They actually have it in the paperwork. They have it, how many years it should extend it by doing this. They have a fog seal that actually is like a penetrating oil penetrator. They spray on it, and that's supposed to extend it for a certain amount of time. Right now, I was thinking more just doing crack sealing and that inch overlay.
You'd usually clip 2 inches on, or?
Yeah, 1 3/4.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Is there, there's probably no grant or cost sharing from the state on this, we bore all this, yeah, okay.
Yeah. I believe, I'd have to look at the numbers again, but I believe you would get, I can bring that stuff in, I don't want to
Okay.
give you false information. But you can go quite a ways, like on East-West Road isn't, I mean, it's got some cracks, but it's actually okay. So they can go quite a ways. I'm thinking they would probably do 3 miles,
Oh, okay, yeah.
you know. Yeah, it'd be interesting because it's something different, but you don't want to do it wrong either.
The problem is we keep layering up 2 inches and 2 inches and 2
Right.
inches, and the next thing you know, you got a drop off, and
Yes, exactly.
now you gotta keep your shoulders built up too,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, they're just coming out with chip seals,
Yeah.
rubberized instead of just, which is, they're
a-
supposed to be better now. They had a bunch of different products that, supposedly a lot of people are going to.
I did have one question from somebody the other day. Did everything get graded this year? Our roads, all the roads get graded this fall?
Yeah. Oh, this fall? No,
Okay.
I wouldn't say,
Okay.
no. I'd have to look on computer to see which
Do we
ones.
usually try to do all the roads in the fall or just?
Only the ones that need it.
Okay.
Um,
In the spring, we try to do them
you know
all.
which road it was? And I can,
Gosh, I'm not sure, no.
alright,
I
yeah.
think it was Stickney Brook area, but I guess I
Yeah,
never double
that's-
check where it is.
That's all been graded.
Recently?
We gravelled, the only section what didn't is from, on Hill Road, there's a section there.
Like in the last 10 days or something you've worked over there, a couple weeks?
No, Newfane hauled up there with us,
Okay.
gravel, and we graded it around them. When's that? It's probably, I would say 15, 20 days ago.
Oh, okay, so this could have been before then, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Lee, you started out by talking about the covered bridge getting hit so often. Do folks always take responsibility, or has that been the case? No?
It's
Not unless
it's
somebody
big-
sees 'em, right?
Exactly, that's how it's been,
Yeah.
is if people see them.
Huh.
I'm not sure about this insurance job. I think he actually might have come up to the town office or called here, the person who's,
No, someone saw him and reported it to the state police.
oh, okay, yeah,
And that's how he got his insurance.
yeah. Yeah, and it hasn't been like serious, it costs a lot because you have to close the road down and
Right.
fix it, but, it hasn't been like, beams and those
Yeah.
kind of things, it's more just, keeps nice and trim.
Yeah. Do we know, does the state police pursue it?
They did it.
Yeah, they did this
Yeah.
one. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Questions?
Yeah.
Lee? Okay. Thanks. Lee.
Thank you.
So, we've got correspondence for information. Anything there? Something, invitation from Wyndham Regional Commission seemed to be more geared towards planning commissions and DRB. Anything there you want to discuss? Okay. We have nothing under correspondence for discussion and or action, which leads us to unfinished business. And we have still personnel policy revisions, and do we have some, it was the comp time that
Right.
still we hadn't addressed fully or resolved.
Mhm. So would we like to talk about that?
Sure.
I can give a little review of what it is we're
Everybody okay?
considering.
All right.
So, we were looking at, increasing the comp hours that, employees can accrue, from 24, and I'm gonna recommend that so 24 was the maximum, and I'm gonna recommend that we raise that to 30. I looked at the VLTC guidelines, VLCT guidelines, and, looked at our current policies. There's also something in our policy that, we would wanna change as well, just to make it a little bit clearer. So currently, our policy says that highway employees that work more than 8 hours in a day or 10 hours in one day during a 4-day week are entitled to overtime pay. We really should change that to highway employees that work more than 40 hours in a week. That makes it clearer. And
Oh, go ahead.
well,
I'll
no,
wait
I mean,
until it's.
okay.
Yeah.
So, there are those two things that we're looking at. So raising the maximum number of comp hours that an employee can earn from 24 to 30, and changing the policy to read who work more than 40 hours in a week. So I'll take questions and.
What were your inputs, other towns or advice from VLTC that made you favor an increase?
Well, there was a request that we raise it. Lori brought it to us, that we raise it actually to 40, because there has been, that's been the case, that there have been more than the 24 max. People have reached more than the 24 max, and we haven't really been paying attention to it. We haven't done anything about it. So, given that, it seemed like we wanted to consider raising it. So we did talk to probably 6 or 7 other towns.
At
I
least,
talked
yeah.
to a couple, and Steve was at a meeting where there were a lot of towns. And so, do you want to speak to that, Steve?
It's all over the board. I mean, some towns use it for salary people. Like once they get over 45 hours, they'll give them some comp time. Some towns don't use it at all for any of their help. They only either use overtime or straight time. I think, if I can speak for Geraldine too, I think our thought was that it's a benefit that we can give our employees. Maybe we're not the highest paid town per hour, but it's a benefit that our employees can have by taking comp time. And we thought it was important to some of them to be able to do that. We actually talked, or I did at least, considered no comp time and just using the hours. But Geraldine had a good point. It's a really good benefit.
It just
So-
creates a flexibility for employees
Yeah.
to, and what happens, the reality of it is there's a lot of work that happens in the winter, when the road crew has to work. The storms don't happen during work hours, and so they work, and then it allows them to take, rather than get paid at that moment in time, it allows them to take time at another time of year. And so I'll take this opportunity to say that some towns put restrictions on when that comp time can be used. They don't want it to be used. One town was December 1st through April 30th. Can't use comp time during those months, because they want to make sure they have enough road crew for the winter months if there's a snowstorm. I'm not recommending that we put that restriction on it. I think we can leave it up to the road foreman, because employees need the approval of the road foreman to take those comp hours.
I'm just a little confused, Carolyn. Folks get paid overtime.
Right,
Uh,
which is time and a half.
Right. But if they go over a certain level, of hours for the week, I guess is what you're suggesting.
Right.
Yeah, then they're entitled to comp time, which is essentially, is it analogous to vacation time?
Well, for every hour
Yeah.
that they
Yeah.
work, sort of, every
Hour and a
hour
half.
that they
Right.
work overtime, in other words, beyond the 40-hour week,
Right.
they get an hour and a half of vacation time in the summer.
Yeah. Okay.
Or an
They're
extra
getting paid
holiday.
for that,
Right.
because it's paid vacation.
Right. I understand. Okay.
Yeah,
And they're being
Thanks.
paid the hour and a half for the hour that they worked over in the winter.
Right.
It gives Lee the flexibility of keeping as many employees as he can, but maybe somebody want a long weekend, so they go away, so they use their comp time.
Yeah, I understand.
It's a great benefit. I wasn't sold really in the beginning on the program necessarily, but it is a really good benefit for your employees. And I guess that's what convinced me in our discussions with Geraldine, and that it's a nice benefit for them.
Mhm.
It's basically 20 hours of overtime, and they get 30 hours of pay, and they can take it at their convenience. And then on top of that, we also pay like 180 hours of overtime, so they still can take overtime. It isn't like they're restricted to this program.
no, and they, but once they reach that 30-hour max, then they have to get paid for the time that they work overtime. They can't take it as comp time. They just get the pay for it.
But nobody here sees that it's a benefit to the town. That's, I guess I'm kind of I'm feeling that it's all about the employee, but it is a benefit to the town because the town is not putting out that money. Because when we started it, the town it was a hard winter. They needed a way to have the employees not take a salary, and you take time off. So I think it's a benefit to the town also, because you're not putting out the money. You are losing a person's productivity. I'm not saying that you're losing that person for a longer period of time, but the town is not putting out
You're still
money.
paying it,
We're
though, so
paying when
you're still paying it.
You're losing productivity.
No, but
no. If someone has 10 hours of comp time
Yeah.
from in January, and they say, well, I want to go fishing in April, and so they have a long weekend. They're taking that 10 hours off in April, and getting paid for it.
Yes.
So
they're getting paid for those hours.
yeah,
Right.
So
They're
it's
getting
not-
time off.
yes,
Well,
they're
no,
getting
but
time,
you're not agreeing.
time
You're not
off
saying the
with
same
pay.
thing.
Right.
So
Yes, I'll agree.
yeah,
I'm just saying
So
if
the
that
town
employee
is
did not take comp time, your payroll would be higher. Yes.
Can I speak to that? I spent hours
Okay.
on this
Yeah.
and did both scenarios. I ran everybody's payroll,
yeah,
and in the calendar year 2013, I mean, it does save some money, but it doesn't save a lot.
yeah.
We save $1,513.23 by doing comp time.
Mm-hmm.
How did we save it? I guess Lori would be my question.
Yeah, just walk us through it.
All right.
I'm a little.
I can do this.
Yeah.
If I work 45 hours this week,
Yeah.
right? If I say I don't want comp time, I get paid for 47 and a half hours a week, right?
Yeah.
If I take 5 hours of comp time, you pay me for 40 hours. That's it.
But
Because
then-
I'm taking, you're losing productivity from me
So when you
for
take
next
those-
week.
But we're going to pay later when you take
Right.
that, use that.
Is
But
it
you would
paid
pay-
vacation? Is it paid vacation, or are you taking those hours without pay?
No, you don't take it without pay. You get paid straight time
Yeah.
for it.
You get paid straight time. But I would be getting paid that anyways. If I,
But it gives you more vacation.
yes, you're losing productivity. You're losing a person for
But
that
you
amount
get,
of time.
but Lee, you get an hour and a half
Yes.
of time,
Yes,
and you're getting paid for that hour and a half.
yes.
So we're not paying you for that time. We're paying you, you worked 5 hours overtime, right? So you work 45
Yeah.
hours, and you say, I wanna use those towards my comp hours. So you get 7.5 hours,
Yes.
and you're gonna take that as vacation, as paid vacation. So we're gonna pay you for 7.5 hours. We still pay you,
Can I?
no?
If we worked, okay, in 2013, for winter hours, he worked 72 hours of overtime. He took that as comp time, so he was paid $1,517.76. If he had taken 72 hours of overtime, he would have been paid $2,276.64.
I don't, somehow this isn't making sense.
No, because
I'm
after
sorry
you
that
took
I
it to
didn't-
an hour and a, you're still paying an hour and a half time. How can it be any different? If a guy makes $10 an hour and you pay him $15, or you give him an hour and a half off, it's still the same $15. You might save a little bit on your workman's comp, but I don't see how you think we're saving any money by your hour. I use comp time, but I use it as my benefit to the business. I use it totally reverse of how you use it. And I don't know how I can figure that it's not costing me as much money. I do lose, mine's an efficiency issue, but
If you're not getting
Yeah.
as much money.
if I'm paid $10 an hour and I get an hour and a half comp time, I'm gonna get $15 worth of comp time. Or I'm gonna get $15 overtime. I don't understand
But,
how
if,
I'm losing it
all right,
somehow.
so
Yeah,
Alright.
I'd check the books. I
Oh, I know.
think we owe you some more.
If I knew I weren't right, then I would never argue this like I am.
Well, I know,
Or I just, if I work,
yeah, do it again, I'll let
alright, so 47, we'll just do it as a week, so 45 hours of time. So, and if I was doing like $10 an hour, so that would be, what, 470, 400 and, I have to write that down.
What are we doing, 5 hours of
No, you're only
overtime?
doing 5 hours.
Okay.
Alright,
You got paid for your 40 and you got 5 hours.
right,
of overtime.
Yeah.
so that would be,
$75.
$75.
yep,
Yep.
$475.
Yep,
If,
oh, yeah.
Well, the
okay.
5 hours
Yeah,
of
If you
overtime.
worked,
Yeah.
okay, now.
that's what the town would pay me for that
Okay.
week.
Now translate it to
All right,
full-time.
so now I'm just gonna take, and,
Get your,
40 hours. So now you'd be paying me 400,
but that's
Yeah.
gonna pay you.
But then we're
But-
gonna pay you the $75.
but you're gonna pay me that anyways,
Not
right?
if you don't come to work.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, if
Okay.
you're gonna lay me off,
Right, right.
then that's
Or
one
if you- Or
thing.
if you just stay home on your own because you want the day off.
I understand what you're saying now. We're gonna, if you weren't taking that comp time off, that you'd be working,
Right.
and so we pay you
You'd
that.
be paying me.
But, there's a little bit, but we'd be paying you at the $10 rate rather than the
But for 7.5 hours,
12.
because he gets an hour and a half.
Yeah, right,
And so it's 7.5 hours times $10, which is $75.
Right.
Which is the same $75 that he
Right.
gets as overtime.
And he's not here.
I mean, I still don't see how it is that you're looking at it, Lee.
Yeah,
So let me explain it to you and
Yep.
see if we can go this way.
all right.
So you work your 45 hours this month in December, and it's 5 hours over. So you say, I want to get paid for that. I don't want to take it as comp time. I want to get paid time and a half for those 5 hours. So you get, and let's say you make $10 an hour, just for easy math. So it's 40 times 10 is 400, and then 5 hours you get $15 an hour because you get time and a half for it. So that's 75. So you get $475. So then the other option is you say, pay me for my 40 hours, $400, and I'll take those 5 hours as comp hours. And then in April, you want to take those 5 hours as vacation, but it's not 5 hours, it's 7.5 hours.
Right.
Because you get an hour and a half for every hour that you work overtime. And we're gonna pay you for that, because that's overtime. It's not unpaid vacation, it's paid vacation.
Right.
So we're gonna pay you $10 an hour for 7.5 hours. And that's $75. So that's the same $75 we would have added to your pay in December. But instead, we're gonna pay you in the summer.
But I'm just not working any extra. That's, if we had to hire a part-time person to make up for when I was out in, April, then it's costing the town money. But if you're getting the work done, then you're not.
But the guy's not getting any work done in April because he isn't here.
Right, exactly. That's what I mean. Loss of productivity is,
But the money's the same.
I'm not saying that at all. You're losing a guy instead of 3 weeks vacation max. I'm taking 5 weeks.
We're giving you an extra 20
weeks.
hours.
Yeah,
I mean, actually, we're giving you an extra 30 hours of
Right.
time off,
Yeah.
paid time off.
right. But when you figure it out for a year, it does come out for savings for the town.
Okay, and Lori's
It's-
figured that out.
Yes.
I thought I did, but now I'm not so sure.
You can't possibly say it saves you
Yeah,
because you're
unless-
still paying it and the
unless-
guy's sitting home.
Yeah, unless
The
someone made a
efficiency you
mistake.
don't have because he isn't here.
Yeah,
And you do save a little workman's comp because we're not.
Workman's comp and FICA.
And FICA, yeah. So there is a minimal savings
Yeah.
there, exactly. I would absolutely agree with that. But you're getting the efficient time, you're getting him at his most productive time in December when there's a snowstorm and you gotta get everything done, you have him here working. In April, when
They can
maybe it's
take time
slow,
off.
then you can do away with it, you know, you can have a guy not here.
So you either get time and a half, you either get your hourly rate and a half times the hours, the extra hours you work, or you get the hours time and a half, so 5 hours turns into 7.5 hours at your regular pay. It's just one or the other.
But I think what Lee's saying is, he would be here working, but he's not, of course, he's home with his comp time, so that's, what he's saying is, we budgeted the money for him to be here, if I think I'm following his thought, but it's, the guy isn't here when you're paying him.
I mean, I'd like to hear from you, Lee. You know, you want it to be a benefit, you want us to be able to say that it's a benefit to the town as well as to the employees. But I'd like to hear from you why comp time is important for you and your guys. What do you value about it?
I think it's just a matter of more time off. Get rid of some of the stress sometimes.
To know that you're working your butt off now.
And it's a max of 3 weeks, where some companies are that way, some are more. Vernon, I think the foreman down there gets 5 weeks off. But not that that's right. I'm not complaining about that. So I just think that it's another employee takes enough off so he can do his wood.
Right. I mean, you're not twiddling your thumbs. I mean, it's not necessarily.
Like most employees, they only get comp time during the winter, just because we don't get offered a lot of overtime in the summer. So that's why I was thinking about raising it up, so then they could take an extra week off without, you know.
This is, it sounds like this is, you know, kind of standard operating procedure in the industry, if you will. I mean, I take it it's.
Not necessarily,
Not really,
Joe.
Joe. I mean, a lot of
Some
towns
of the
don't have it. I
towns,
mean, I
yeah.
talked to some
Well-
towns and they said, oh, we don't offer comp time.
Well, I guess my question is, it's allowed under the federal labor
It
laws,
is.
right?
It is. It
Okay.
is allowed.
And I guess, has there been a problem with us not getting our work done? Not being there when you need us to be there?
Well, that's a really good question.
Not, what more are you expecting from us? I honestly, I don't think we can put out any more, or very little more. I think we work harder than any 4-person crew in I would say in the state, and I would almost bank on it. So I just question, you know, why is this such a problem?
Well, it's not a problem.
I wanted to clear it up too. That's why I brought it.
Yeah.
I actually put it in there when we talked about it, because I
Yeah.
wanted to get it cleared up too, because I hate going against the policy.
Right, it puts
And
Lori in an awkward position.
yeah, and you know, why not just get it
Right.
written down right? You know,
Right.
the way we've been doing it, or the way people want us to do it.
Are you suggesting that what Geraldine proposed is not enough top?
No, that's fine. That's fine. It's more. I really to say that it's just a benefit for the employees. That's what I thought, that we weren't getting the numbers across, and I'd rather not even do it at like a meeting like this. I wish I could have been there to hear this discussion before at a select board meeting.
Well, we haven't spent.
I think you heard all the
You
discussion.
talked.
Yeah.
You talked.
Yeah.
I thought the two of you talked.
Very little.
Okay.
When we were up on Fish Road,
Yeah.
Oh.
very little, and
So it would have been good to sit down, process-wise, which is
But this
important
is the
for me
only
to know.
discussion we've had about it.
I thought you guys were talking about this
Other than
for a while.
relaying the information to her
Alright.
that I found at other towns, and she
Okay.
relayed information to me, and then she wrote we wrote together, I guess, wrote this, but we haven't had any meetings that we discussed it at, or I don't even think any of the other boards, it's just we were collecting data from other towns.
Yeah.
And if I misled you, I think it is a benefit to the town to be able to have people, when you need them plow snow, to be able to be there plowing snow. I mean, it's definitely a benefit to have people stay there and get the job completed. There is that benefit. All I meant is that it's nice for an employee to be able to have some comp time. I didn't mean that if I misrepresented my thought, I didn't mean that it was only a benefit to the employee. I just meant that it was a benefit to the employee. But it also benefits the town. When you need guys to stay there till 10 o'clock at night, they stay and they either get overtime or take their comp time. So, no, there is a benefit.
Okay.
And we've raised it, I think we've raised it, it was 24 and we raised it to 30.
Right.
Well, I'd like to move the issue forward, if we might, and move that we change our personnel policy to 30 hours of comp time.
I'd second that.
Any discussion? Any further discussion?
Everyone okay with this?
Yep.
Okay. Any more discussion? Okay. Do we have?
So let me just read this
Yeah, let's be
so
sure.
that we're clear on it. So to increase maximum compensatory time, an employee may accrue from 24 to 30 hours of unused compensatory time. This allows employees to choose to log comp hours at a rate of 1.5 hours for every overtime hour worked, up to a maximum of 30 hours, rather than being paid at the time they worked the overtime hours. In other words, an employee can work up to 20 hours of overtime for a total of 30 hours of comp time. When the maximum of 30 comp hours is reached, the employee will automatically be paid for the overtime rather than accruing more comp hours.
My only question, Carolyn, is when you said rather than being paid the overtime hours, it's the overtime rate.
The
for
overtime rate,
Right, for those hours, correct?
yes, right. Mhm.
Okay.
Correct. So, Laura, I want to ask you a question. When you showed me the charts of the overtime that people were accruing, is that the hour and a half, or is that the hour?
It's the hour and a half.
Good, okay. So there's another piece of this that we'll talk about, but are we ready to vote on this?
Mhm.
This section, yeah, sure.
Okay.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
So then the other piece, and Lee, this kind of came this confusion arose sort of late in our discussion, so I would like your input. Is there a reason why the policy is stated as working more than 8 hours in a day, 10 hours in one day during a 4-hour work week, as opposed to a 40-hour week?
It used to be 40-hour week,
Okay,
and then they changed it
To?
after 8. The 10 hours came when we tried one year. We tried working 4 10-hour days, and so they put that in there.
but why is comp time based on a day as opposed to a week?
Oh, that's just plain overtime.
Yeah, like, it's not, overtime isn't earned based on working a number of hours in a day. Like, you could, in your 40-hour week, you could put in 10 hours one day, 8 hours the next, 10, to add up to 40. It might be different number of hours each day, but what you're paid for is a 40-hour week. You're not paid each day. It's a 40-hour week that you're paid for.
I think the thought was same thing in the winter. You're working. Say you work 14 hours one day,
Yeah.
and the next day, when you're sick, the next day it's not snowing, so you stay home sick.
Yeah.
So you still collect your overtime. Before, if you stayed home sick the day after a snowstorm, then you lose your overtime. Because at the end of the week, you still might only have 34 hours of actual work time or 36 hours of actual work time.
So they don't get paid a sick day if they stay home sick?
They do. But
It
they,
doesn't accrue to our 40 hours?
right, it didn't accrue to the overtime hours.
That was before my time.
Okay. See, the concern, Lee, I think in our little bit of discussion was that somebody could work 3 12-hour days and end up with 18 hours of overtime.
And you don't think they deserve 18 hours of overtime? For working 3 long days?
Well, I'm not sure why the town would pay overtime for somebody that didn't work 40 hours, was our question.
And does sick time come into that or vacation time? So if they were gonna take a vacation
Right, if they take
day-
a vacation day, yeah, then it would add to your cumulative work week, I would think. I don't know.
Yeah, when I
That's
fill
not
out
a
my,
discussion.
when I fill out my timesheet, you know, I fill out the number of hours I worked each day, and if I took some vacation time or sick time, it's part of my timesheet.
I think previous boards had different feelings on that, and I think
That's why, it happened back when Wayne was road foreman. And I think that's why he fought to have it changed to the 8-hour, that for overtime to kick in after an 8-hour workday as opposed to a 40-hour work week. Because former boards didn't take in sick time or vacation time into consideration for paying overtime. So that's why they changed it.
Oh, that surprised me, because generally business would accrue, or if you took comp time,
Right.
let's say you.
Mhm.
well, you
Right,
wouldn't-
it's a
you
legal
couldn't take comp
time off.
But if you took a
Which-
vacation day or you were sick, that would go into your cumulative hours for the
Right.
week, but maybe that's not clear in our policy.
Right. And with those things said, I'd have to think about it and, you know,
Yeah, well, I don't think we're ready to make a motion.
yeah,
about
I know
this.
Brattleboro, or well, I mean, this was, like Lori said, it's been quite a while ago, when we switched it, but I think at the time Brattleboro was doing overtime after 8 also. And, I'm just,
All right,
I'm
well, it's
not
another
sure.
little research
I'm not
project.
sure.
And I'm really sorry that this is, I mean, it's felt like to me anyway, it's kind of dragged on. It's been on the agenda for a long time, and it took a long time to get other towns on the phone and to gather information and, you know, Steve and I shared information back and forth, but, you know, emails, phone calls, it takes a while to respond back and forth. So it hasn't been dragged out because we're, you know, I mean, we really want this to be in support of you and your crew. And we value your work very highly, and it's really, you know, we want you to feel good about it, not, you know, concerned that we don't
Right,
appreciate
yeah.
what you're
Yeah.
doing, or that we're
Yeah.
second guessing how you're spending your time. You know, so, but
Are you
I,
checking, Lori, to see in the policy manual if it says that that vacation time and sick time can't be used? Oh.
no, not, because it's not in the, it's not in the
yeah,
policy.
so it's another research project.
Yeah.
We can't bring this to it.
All right.
So
Okay.
for
Hey, I
the
thought
time
we were gonna
being,
wrap it up.
I know,
We
for
made
the
some
time
progress.
being, you know, it's, you know, it's the way the policy is stated, and we'll have to look at that. I don't know. I don't know, Lee, sorry you brought it up.
Yeah, wow, a little bit.
So we can get it cleared up and
Yeah,
we'll come back.
yeah.
Right, I just know they switched it for a reason. I
Yeah,
just,
well, let's find that
just-
out. Yeah,
not 100% sure.
Yeah,
Right.
we can find out what the reason was, and if it doesn't,
yeah,
you know, seem like a good reason to us now, we'll
Right.
change it.
yeah. I mean, we need.
If that's the
And
reason.
I just, question is, not to get back, but it's like, is it not working now?
Well, my concern is we're asking the taxpayers to pay, if somebody didn't work 40 hours, they could get 18 hours of overtime without accruing 40 hours of time. That was what my question was about how it was presented.
Yeah, but with our sick time and stuff, pretty much the only time somebody's not, well, I guess if somebody wanted to take a bunch of unpaid time off, would be
Then
the,
what? Finish.
then they wouldn't equal up to the 40 hours. But if they take sick time, they would. If they took comp time, they would. You know, there's not a whole lot of other reasons. That.
Yeah,
I guess there's
one was-
sometimes that people take off and don't get paid or don't get compensated, but I don't.
But one would assume that if somebody worked 12 hours Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, they're probably still gonna come to work Thursday and Friday unless they're sick from the long hours.
Or just plain sick and plowing snow, that you have to work when you're sick because there's 4 of us. And if you don't, you know.
If you don't.
Well,
we-
that's
Right,
different.
everyone else suffers.
But that's a different problem. That's a, and so you're saying you solve that problem by having people earn comp hours based on the hours they work in a given day.
Yeah, or
I mean-
overtime, I guess, or not really overtime, but so they don't lose their overtime when they take a sick day. Because I'm pretty positive when we used to do it, we
So-
lost our overtime when we took a sick day. But
Well, we don't want you to lose your
Yeah, we
overtime.
don't
Right.
want that.
We don't
Right.
want you to lose your overtime, so
right,
we don't want that to happen. So that's taken into account into our research. But I mean, our job, the major job of the select board is
managing money.
managing money and the road crew.
Right. Yeah.
You're our guys,
Yeah.
and we need to know how this is. We need to have confidence in our policies.
Yes.
So I'm appreciative that you brought it up, and as a new person on the select board, I'm glad to have this opportunity to dig into this and really understand it, so that when I talk to people in the town, I talk with the confidence of knowing that we've got a good system and we're serving the town as best we can.
Sounds good.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
You sure know how to drag out a meeting, don't you?
Hey, I've been done, I was ready to go home half an hour ago. But I thank you for all that work.
Yeah.
And thank you, Lee, for helping us figure this out. All right, so,
So are we gonna review the budget then?
oh God, come on.
I have some really bad news for you.
Well, it's still early.
It's still early.
It's still early in California anyway.
All right, okay, so just for the record, I was ready to adjourn half an hour ago. But here, Steve played
I wanted to be done at
North
7:30.
Hollow Road wants to extend the meeting,
That's not true.
just for the record. But, so what did you, what bad
So-
news did you have?
So I think if I found this out right, because of Act 64 and all the work Lee's gonna have to do to the town roads and our ditches and everything else, we have to start, and I believe I have this correct as of about 5:20 tonight.
You really should have adjourned half.
Yep. We're gonna have to pay a yearly fee starting in this budget right now for 2016-17, $2,000 yearly to the state, and then we have to the same time we have to spend. Now I'm not sure of this number. It's either 400 or 600. I was told by the league it was 400, and I was told by Jim, the guy running the program, I'm sorry. I was told by the league it was 600, and I was told by Jim, whoever runs the program here, it's 400 for a
Let's take the 400.
5-year application fee. So every 5 years we're gonna pay, and I'm sorry, before next meeting I'll find out if it's 400 or 600. But that means either $2,400 or $2,600 into this year's budget we gotta add. And this is basically for cleaning, to start with, to clean up Lake Champlain, but it's gonna extend to Lee's inventory in his roads and his ditches, and any road that has ditches running into a waterway's gotta be corrected, and this is all part of our permits for that program. And it extends to farms and spreading manure, and it's pretty it's
So-
Vermont's New Clean Water Act, so.
Okay, so, and this is House Bill?
House 35, Act 64.
Okay,
And we do have to get the $2,000 and either the 400 or 600 into next year's budget. I was hoping by everything I'd read that it was the following year, but according to the league and according to, boy, I'm sorry, I can't get his name right off the top, but the guy running the program in the state, we have to pay it next year.
okay.
That's a lot of money to add to our budget.
Right,
So it seems like they should be coming to our meetings and talking to us.
yeah,
Yeah, it's. I think the reason I'm even involved in it so much is because of the meeting we went to the other day on agricultural practice and required agricultural practices is all part of this Act 64. And you start learning that farms are going to pay $2,000 a year, and small farms are going to pay, or medium farms, $1,500. Well, this is just an extension of that program, so the towns are going to chip in too. And basically, probably Lee started to hear the information, but he's going to have to inventory all our roads, all our ditches that run into running water, into streams. Hopefully, we're going to get rid of the curbs on the side of roads, and it's pretty. I tried to read the bill tonight before I got here, and it's pretty extensive.
okay.
On that happy note,
Yeah. Now we can go home.
Well, wait, okay, we got me going here. We do have someplace here, new budget sheets, updated budget sheets. They plugged in, Lori plugged in the, pay, the 2% pay increases.
Oh, good.
So we are beginning to get, a lot of the blanks filled in.
And did that question get answered about the assistant town clerk and the difference in the pay?
Yeah, that was resolved.
And actually, I even lowered it a little bit more. I changed for the assistant town clerk, I put
48 weeks at the 2 days a week, and then just 4 weeks instead of
Oh,
the
4
5.
weeks
I
instead of
added,
5.
yeah,
Okay.
I rethought that, so it lowered it a little bit more.
Okay. All right. So we still have, so Pam is coming next week.
yes.
And we have a budget meeting at 5.
Yes, here. And so she can maybe, we have a blank here under new equipment
Yes.
for the municipal building. So maybe she'll come up with that. Dawn Hubbard will be coming to our next meeting. She just had a meeting last night where there was a possibility that there might have been some money coming from Entergy, but I don't think that happened, so, but she will give us that information. We saw the Social Services Advisory Committee, is going to come next week and go.
During our budget work session?
Yes, and to go over their recommendations. They're recommending just slightly less than 10% increase over last year.
And there was that letter about the farmland protection.
Yes, we received a couple letters urging us to increase the amount that we budget for the Farmland Protection Fund.
That we contribute to that fund as a town.
Yes.
Is there a base amount that we usually do, or is it usually zero?
There's
That's
a
25.
chart here that, it has been 5,000, but for the last several years, it's been 2,500.
Actually, it started because you all have this page
Right.
in front of you. It began, the Maple Valley Ski Area tax sale in 1998. The town voted to start this fund with a $10,000 amount from that, the proceeds from that tax sale. For 3 years following, the $5,000 was put into the fund. Fiscal year 14, 15, and 16, 2,500 had been put in.
And that was a,
For 12 years, nothing was put into it.
It wasn't until FY 2010 that $10,000 was put in.
from 98 to
Right.
2010.
Right,
Okay,
yeah.
so if we take a historical average, then,
And that was a budget cutting measure, going from 5,000 down to 2,500.
yes. And the idea of the fund was to be seed money for
Right.
the purchase or to leverage money, you know, for
For
something.
maintaining farmland.
To possibly purchase. The example, well, we used $18,000 from this fund in 2014 to help purchase the bunker farm.
Yes.
And so the purchase price of that was something over 600,000, I think.
Mhm.
But funding came from,
A lot of different places.
yeah, a lot of different places
Yeah.
and
So we contributed 18.
out of this
Out of that
fund,
fund.
yeah. So,
But I think what Zeke was saying too is by us having something in the pot, it allowed them to go to other agencies and get
yeah,
money.
it demonstrated
We
that
had seed
commitment from
money,
the town.
Yeah.
And that was useful in leveraging other funds. The town was behind this.
And so there's some people that feel that we need to continue to build this up, and maybe 2,500 a year isn't enough, that there's enough pressures around protecting
Yes, there are,
farmland.
yeah, we got 2 letters from people who
I
are
read
urging
those,
us to raise it.
Okay.
And historically, we usually have this discussion at town meeting where a motion, you know, the select board over the past, actually in 2013, also set it at 2,500. And a motion is made to raise it to 5,000. So that happens, has happened every town meeting.
Okay.
So that's for your consideration. So we'll be getting that social services advisory coming. So I think next time we should start well, we're gonna be pretty busy with Pam McFadden coming, the Social Services Advisory Committee, and the Emergency Management Director. But it would be great to start looking over the revenue pages that we have here. Just to become familiar with that and maybe find a mistake where there's, you know, a couple of 100,000 that are unaccounted for that we could just use. And we've got the capital budget plan. I've been lying awake at night thinking about that 160,000 a year. Can we lower that at all, or?
Not unless Lee wants to wait and get his grader later.
So, we don't have to do this tonight, but I'm hoping that we'll be looking at this coming, between now and our next meeting. This is the homework assignment.
I think we've had a long enough meeting, so I'm
Yeah,
gonna move that
okay,
we
all right.
adjourn.
There is one new business.
Yeah.
Oh, one
Damn,
meeting.
I tried.
Yeah. Oh, right, we have to,
Oh, yeah.
recess as the select board and reconvene as the liquor commission.
I move we do so.
Maybe you might wanna stay and watch.
Yeah.
Okay,
I will move that we do so, yeah.
I'll second that.
okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, as the liquor commission, we have, where's my liquor commission file here?
Oh, it was in,
Correspondence.
right there, wasn't it, in correspondence?
No, not this
New
one.
business.
Ah, good, all right. This is, Balance Rock Corporation, which is the KOA campground, would like to be able to sell, I guess in their store, beer and wine.
I'll move we approve the application from Balance Rock Corporation for their second class license.
I'll second that.
Okay, discussion?
Second class licensing includes what exactly?
I think it is beer and wine.
That's
Not-
my understanding.
Yeah,
Not-
not liquor, yeah.
Right,
hard
not
liquor.
the hard stuff, not moonshine,
Mhm.
not the lower, yeah, beer and wine. And they have to comply with all the rules and regulations of the state and,
Is there any past experience that would give us pause?
no, I think, they haven't ever had a license there. They have a food cart set up now, they're providing food, and I think they have a store there that, and I guess it's a great convenience for the people camping there during the warmer months, so this would be adding to their offerings there. So, they seem to, I can't see any problem, they seem to run a really
Yeah.
well-managed operation there, so I think, I don't have any reservations about this with them.
Okay.
Any other thoughts, or? Okay, and did you move to accept this? Yeah.
Yeah.
And someone seconded?
I seconded it.
Sure, great. Well, then, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right. We've done that, and now we can adjourn as the liquor commission and reconvene as the select board.
Move we adjourn as a liquor re-adjourn as the select board.
All right. I'll second. Reconvene.
Reconvene, thank you. It's time to go home.
Right. So being one of the liquor commissioners always makes me a little tipsy also. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Now we're back as a select board. Oh, thank goodness. All right, so now there being any other business to come before this board?
I move we adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Good work. I don't know, you're dragging these meetings